Hello, man, children. PlanetWalls here. Had a little bit of a few sips of whiskey before this match, so I'm sure to lose. It's actually something like the mirror match, only he's much better matched up against me than I am against him. Need to take care of some Delvers. Spell snares are a problem. He's got a lot of mental missteps and more snapcasters. Mana drains aren't as good. He's got 3, I've got 4, which is sad. His Vendilion clicks are good. His sowers could ruin me in the late game, because you'll look down over here, he's got these cool ancient tombs to make sure he could play the Frost Titan Ice Shield ability. His sideboard is pretty mediocre against me. I might actually keep Grafdigger's Cage in for his Snapcasters, not sure about that. He might board in something weird like Energy Flux, not sure. He might even board in the Ancient Tomb instead of Wastelands, or one Wasteland and take out another random card in order to increase his land count. So I'm not sure about that entirely. But it's for sure going to be an exciting mono blue on mono blue match, and yeah, Pithing Needle can name Jace and ruin his day, hopefully, or Mana Screw him. Maybe my only hope is to Mana Screw him. So we'll get this match started in a couple minutes. So just to be clear, what we just looked at was our opponent's deck. Our opponent is TommyTopDecker, and we are in the semifinals of the Classic Quarter Classic League. I didn't make that clear when we were looking at his deck. Again, I can attribute this to the few sips of... I guess I don't want to advertise for Jameson. Or I kind of did. Jameson?
Yeah, you just did.
Well, they're not paying us. Okay, so playing first is pretty important. Our guy seems like a gentleman opponent, and this hand totally sucks. We can play a Pithing Needle and maybe Mana Screw him, but nothing else. I would love this hand if I had one more land in it. Actually, the Cavern is really good in it. I do not want to take the chance I'm going to draw 2 lands in a row. So I'm going to mulligan. And we still have our Cavern. If we can resolve this Glenalundra, that'll be pretty satisfying, I would go so far as to say. We don't have any counter spells to interact with him, but we do have a Brainstorm. Hopefully we see a fetch land soon. Otherwise, this Brainstorm is basically just a bad cantrip. Isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
My wife agrees.
Cantrum.
Cantrum? No.
Oh.
Cantrip.
Cantrip.
Yes.
It's because you're slurring.
I'm not slurring.
Okay.
You're just eating a lot of cheese. Okay, so I'm not going to mulligan again, because that would be foolish. That would be tomfoolery. I'm going to try to save the Cavern of Souls for as long as possible, because he's got tons of Wastelands in his deck, and otherwise my deck is pretty resilient against Wastelands. So I might be able to get one spell out of this that's really satisfying. So I could have kept my other name Pithing Needle, Misty Rainforest, and maybe Mana Screwed him? Probably not. Can you hear me whisper? Probably not. Delvers, sure, we'll Brainstorm, I guess. That Delver's going to be the death of me if I can't land this Glenalundra with a Cavern of Souls or something. Oh, he's going to mental misstep that? That's really bad for us. Sure, we'll let this resolve. Coming in a card short is pretty bad in this matchup, but fortunately he actually has a lot of creatures in his deck, and we just drew another Brainstorm, which I think I should just cast right off the bat right now. Go a little deeper, have some interaction, hope that he doesn't draw another card. I guess maybe he could have revealed a mental misstep, and then I would have known it would be more likely that he didn't have a mental misstep in his hand. Right now he's thinking about whether to force this. Oh, screw him. He has another misstep? That's truly unpleasant. Guess he knows we don't have a third Brainstorm, but mulliganing and getting 2 Brainstorms countered is pretty poor. Next thing I need not to happen is this flipping. And to be honest, it's more likely that it doesn't flip than that it does in his deck, because he has a lot of lands, essentially, and a couple artifacts, and a lot of creatures, actually. His count is the same as mine. But he's going to... He's looking at his card, thinking about whether he wants to reveal it. He would totally have revealed it by now if he had an instant there. Does he have like a Brainstorm or something? He doesn't want to draw that card? That's totally possible. He does have a Strip Mine. Well, let's see. Let's go back to the match. Yep, he didn't reveal a card. That means he drew 1 land / artifact / creature. He's going to be confused why I did that, but hopefully it'll become apparent to him. I tell myself not to chat with my opponents very much because I'm already so slow that the additional time it takes me to do that is really a handicap. I'll gladly take 1 here. He has already taken 5, which is great, actually, because now I only need to hit him for 3 in order to get him in Frost Titan kill range. But I would go so far as to say I think he is much more likely to be in control of this game at this point. I have no way to interact with him. I can't play either of the cards in my hand, even... Well, if I draw another land, I can play the Glenalendra eventually, but I can't do anything next turn. My hand is really crappy right now. I'm going to warn you guys. From this point on... Oh, he doesn't have another land! That's awesome. Though I'm not sure why I didn't brainstorm an instant back into his deck in order to flip Delver, unless he judged that wasn't important enough. But maybe we can mana screw our opponent. That would be awesome, but we'll probably just lose to the clock of this Delver, maybe, unless I can land Glenalendra. Please no land. Is he going to be mana screwed? We have a chance? Anyway, what I was saying, warning, I'm going to be swearing more. Oh, shit. I guess I didn't give you enough time. Warning. It's gonna be richer swearing, as in, oh cool. That doesn't do anything right now. I actually think, well, this is just gonna be horrible because I have to play this land. Playing this Pithing Needle is terrible. I don't think it does anything for me right now, and I know both of his Delvers are gonna flip. So things are looking pretty horrible. We gotta drop it. Yeah, we'll name Wizard. That's pretty cool, right? Next turn, okay, so there's a chance that he goes land, Jace. And next turn, I can't afford to miss a land drop and not play Glenalendra. What I'm trying to say is I think I need to drop Pithing Needle right now, naming Jace. Because even if I draw a Jace, I have to draw a land first. And it's much more likely that he plays a Jace. Plus, I don't think I have time to win off of a Jace play, especially when I need to drop Glenalendra and trade for a Delver. Like I said, things are looking pretty horrible, but, you know, that's the way things go right now. I suppose I could name a fetch land, because he just brainstormed, and maybe he'll want to fetch away, or fetch land away, shuffle away whatever's on top. But, I don't think that's actually the case. So we're going to name the Mind Sculptor, even though we have 2 in our deck. He has 3. Maybe the next 2 cards in our deck will be Jace's, but it wouldn't matter anyway. They'd be dead because we can't even play them. I just hope he doesn't strip mine or wasteland me. Do know that both these gentlemen are going to flip. They're going to turn from human wizards into insect wizards. Yep, there we go. Human insect. That makes no sense to me because the second word is always the profession that the creature has. And what we see here is that insect is this human's profession, which I guess makes some sense. Does it look like his job is insect? I think it's still scientist or wizard. Yeah, here we're going to take 1 million. We're going to hope he plays nothing to interact with our lands, has no counter spells. Good, he didn't drop a wasteland. But we could have named a Scalding Tarn with Pithing Needle, which might have been better. We didn't draw a land, we drew a 4-drop. It's one of the better 4-drops we could have drawn. It's another wizard. Essentially, things are looking bad because of his high density of missteps, which we knew about before. So we go to 7 here. It's pretty poor. We need him not to play a wasteland. And that would, I think he would draw a wasteland, because he would have definitely killed one of our lands. Oh, that is bad. And now he's got mana drain up, but again, got some wizard action here. Soul Ring! That is cool. I bet it's going to get misstepped or mana drained. We got to do it. I think it gets forced. I don't think it gets misstepped. I think we have a huge force will on this, because he's just got to kill me next turn. Cool. It resolves. So I am definitely going to wait for his turn to happen. So if he mana drains, he gets stupid mana in his next main phase. Let's see. If this doesn't flip and he attacks with everybody, I actually get to kill the one that doesn't have... Ah! Man! That would have been totally cool the other way. Okay, boys. Get in there. Yeah, go ahead. Wow, 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 wow. What's pretty funny is if we draw a land, we could actually attempt to cast a Glenalendra. I mean, things are looking so bad because he's just going to recast this guy and it's going to flip next turn. So Venser is pretty horrible. I mean, he could forget to brainstorm or something. Yeah, like, I'm not even sure if we have any outs here because... Okay, so there's his brainstorm. So Spell Snare goes back on top of his deck in order to flip the Delver he's going to play in a moment. I don't think I have any way through that. I guess I could draw Engineered Explosives and play it for 0. That would be what I would have to draw. So let's all chant Engineered Explosives right now. Join me. I'm not gonna do it. I'm gonna drink my beverage. You guys in the audience, you chat Engineered Explosives, because if I draw that and it resolves, all of his insects are gonna croak, except for the one that he chooses not to flip because it would die to Engineered Explosives. Yeah, that gentleman's coming back, and there's a Spell Snare on top of his library, almost assuredly now, after the brainstorm. We're permitted to take our turn, and we do draw a wizard, and we have the potential to Engineered Explode. I can't attack, and the reason I can't attack is because if I were to attack, he would choose not to flip this and maybe kill me. Might be able to bounce this. What does he have to eliminate permanents? Oh god, he might have a Steel Sabotage in his hand. Because that's my only answer. Like, if he had one in his hand, he would definitely cast it. He could also have a Force of Will. I mean, chances are he has an answer to this anyway, but it's pretty exciting. And I don't think attacking is the right play. Right? Because it's a terrible play, right? He's not going to flip his Delver, so I could block it. Wait, does he have any way to get rid of the Trinket Mage? He could sow it. That would be a pretty bad way to lose. So we're going for the long game at 1 life here. And the long game at 1 life involves a Trinket Mage and trying to get an Engineered Explosives for 0 down. Yep. I sense a Steel Sabotage coming. A card that doesn't actually do much in this matchup. But we definitely play this for big 0 and see if it lands. Does it land? I imagine this land's going to tap. Oh. Ooh! It landed. Okay, okay. So he could steal one of our guys, keep his Delver back. That's what's going to happen. He's not going to flip his Delver. He could sow. I don't want him to be able to win off of sower. Because not countering this means he doesn't have a Force of Will. Because he would just win right there. So he might have a Sower of Temptation. And Frost Titan could be good. And I might be able to land a Frost Titan or a Glenalendra next turn when I have time to do something. Glenalendra could be horrible if he sows it. That or maybe just has Jaces stuck in his hand. He hasn't shuffled in a while. So we're definitely going to let him take his turn. You know what he could win doing? He could Steel Sabotage bouncing the Engineered Explosives EOT. That would allow him to flip his Delver with whatever he brainstormed on top, presumably Spell Snare or maybe a Steel Sabotage. Nope. So thanks for chanting, everybody. You made this happen retroactively, since it's now the future. He's got to have a Sower in his hand. He just can't cast it. Because he would have brainstormed those Jaces back really hard. He has no way to answer Pithing Needle in the main, as far as I can tell. He might be able to Vendilion Click. That would destroy me. He's got 2 of those buddies. Yeah, let's go ahead and do this before he can ninjutsu, which he doesn't have access to. And is this going to be a no land situation? Yeah, so the Sower was unworried. Oh, we're going to lose our Glenalendra. Unless he's going to target himself, which is totally possible. Nope. Let's see what he takes. Because the Frost Titan, if he has a counter spell, he takes the Glenalendra and makes it go away. This is really funny, because both these cards actually can answer Vendilion Click. In a manner of speaking. Like, if I can land a Frost Titan after drawing a land, this is his gamble right now, right? This means, if he has a counterspell, he easily makes the Frost Titan go away. Unless he's just gambling... I'm sorry, he doesn't make the Frost Titan go away, I apologize for that. And then he probably doesn't let me do anything. Like, he can't find his fourth land. Like, this would be a really funny game to win. Tell all your friends to watch. AJ's having a good night. Cutting that. So if he has a counterspell, I probably just lose right now, because this buddy isn't naming Giant, unfortunately. It needed to name Wizard for an earlier play to happen. We drew a Force of Will, which is going to do nothing, unfortunately, at this point. We have to make a play, assuredly. Let me think about what I need to attack with. Because I think I have to get in there with one guy here. Then again, if he plays Sower of Temptation again and takes... What could he do? He could also flip. So, like, essentially, I lose if he has an instant on top of his deck. No matter what. Like, there are any number of cards he could play right now. I have to assume his hand is pretty bad, and getting him down 2 more life is really good, because it means Frost Titan only has to swing 1 more time. But I don't think I can afford the possibility that he draws a land, plays a Sower, and takes one of these wiener guys, whoever's untapped, and just kills me with a Delver of Secrets. Wait, would that actually happen? No, because I have a Frost Titan back to block. Maybe I attack with both these guys, because he can't Sower Frost Titan. No, because I need to block a Delver or otherwise? Oh god, let me think about this. Everything is so hard. Let's say I've been drinking too much, but that's not really the case. He could Snapcast. Nope, can't do that. EOT. He's tapped out. Yeah, man. I think we get in there with both these guys, actually, because he can't interact with Frost Titan once it's on the board, at least for a little while. And we have to assume our Frost Titan resolves. If it doesn't, we lose. Does this play reek of desperation? Yes. We're depending on a lot of things to happen. Alright. Let's make this happen. Come on. Don't get countered. Yes! Okay. Now, don't have an instant on top. Oh! No! Well, hopefully he doesn't have an instant in his hand. But this Spell Snare has been sitting there. Alright. Let's let him win this in style. Get in there with that Insectile Aberration. I felt good about this one. This game went well. He had a Frost Titan. Had to do some gambling on both sides. I drew a lucky card that didn't do anything. So the question is, like, is he going to bring in more anti-artifact cards to deal with Porcelain Legionnaires? Or keep in his Steel Sabotages? Or bring in Energy Fluxes or something weird? I don't think that would be good on his part, because I don't think Porcelain Legionnaire is very good against him at all. I do think Spell Snare is pretty good against him. I think Mental Misstep is good against him. I think Pithing Needle is actually playable against him. It deals with Jace. Like, do I just board out Jaces and hope to Pithing Needle it? I don't think so, just because of the power level of the card. I can also name, like, Scalding Tarn and stuff. Like, I don't know, maybe I don't board in another Pithing Needle, I just keep the one I have. I think the Ratchet Bombs are excellent against him. Because of his... what am I trying to say? Because either I can notch them up before to kill these things, it's unlikely, but primarily I deal with Delvers that are flipped. I think that's got to be right. They unfortunately get countered by Spell Snare. He might board one out. I don't know. I think I keep the Grafdigger's Cage in because his Snapcaster account is so much higher. I could just bring in Threat Density, bring in more of these guys, but these guys are really vulnerable to Sower of Temptation, which is horrible. Bounce spells are actually good against him because of Sower and stuff, and he doesn't have access to those in his deck. So the question is what to cut. So we have 64 cards in right now. I don't think Stifle is extraordinary against him. It deals some things with Jace, fetch lands. Like, maybe I have to keep it in because it counters a fetch land activation. That's a chance to ruin his day. Artifacts he could bring in include nothing I care about, really. There's, like, Mana Crypt and Soul Ring. It's too unlikely, so Steel Sabotage is out. Spell Pierce is really good. Spell Snare is, I think, totally fine. He's got Mana Drains and Snapcasters. I don't know, maybe it's not good enough to have multiples in, but it pitches to Force. Sensei's Dividing Top is something he doesn't have access to, and I wish I could have searched for it last game. We're down to less than a minute, which is fine. Glenalendra is really strong. I think Jace, like landing one, is really good against him, even though he's got a lot of flash dudes. Trinket Mage is really strong against him, actually. So I kind of want to keep this how it is, just because naming Jace is really good. I think I have to keep my counters high, especially on the play. What I might board out, actually, is one of these other Spell Snares and maybe Stifle, just because it's not very exciting the way it works. So let's cut a Stifle. I think maybe we cut a Frost Titan because it's such a late-game card. Actually, it's hard for him to deal with. It's hard for him to answer. But I think cutting one is probably okay. So I cut the Stifle, and then I need to cut one more card. It's probably going to end up being Grafdigger's Cage, just because it's not exciting enough against Snapcasters. So yeah, we'll play first. This hand is reasonably uninteractive, and we don't have anything to find. Okay, it's interactive, but it has nothing to drop big on him immediately. It's got 5 lands. Now, having a lot of lands is good in this sort of matchup, but I would like to have some aggression. Now, what's unfortunate is that I have no way to interact with his immediate Delver play. So I have to find an answer. There are ways to interact with that normally. There's Force of Will, which is worse when you mulligan. There's Mental Misstep, which I have 2 of in the deck right now. I actually think I keep this, and I have to operate on the assumption that I'm going to draw out of this, because even though my hand is mediocre, I can fetch lands, thin out my deck, and maybe interact with him on turn 2. He might not get a turn 1 Delver, might not flip, things like that. So, cool. I'm looking forward to this. Last game I thought was really fun. I don't know what you guys thought, but I thought it was really fun. It's unfortunate he had a Brainstorm in his hand. And that I was at 1 life and couldn't use Force Will even if I had a blue card. Like, my guess is a Delver comes down right now, which would be unfortunate. Yeah, there he is. So that's bad for us. Let's remove auto yields, because I definitely am going to want to find an island with this Misty Rainforest. Is keeping this hand bad? I don't know. Maybe? Oh, cool, another Misty. Okay, so we hope it doesn't flip, because that's the game we play. I'm going to counter a Brainstorm if it happens. And I think it will. I'm feeling it. That allows us to get down to next turn Glenalendra, though. Nope, he's just going to go for it. Please, no. He's thinking too hard. There's no way it's an instant. He's thinking, like, do I want to Brainstorm now? Mark my words, a Brainstorm's going to happen, and the right time for him to cast it is either now if he needs to find something good, or on my turn, main phase A, so I can't mana drain it. My guess is what happens is he might do it in response to a Misty Rainforest activation. But I'm definitely cracking this to decrease my land count in my deck. Come on. Play your Brainstorm. Nope. Didn't do it. Mental misstep. That is poor right now. I would go so far as to say. We could draw Brainstorm, might need this fetch land later, so I'm going to begin the hold your fetches back line of play. We've drawn one non-land, I think. These things happen when you keep hands like this, and thought it was an acceptable risk. That is not going to resolve. No siree. He's doing it at my end step, which strikes me as wrong, actually. No, we will not be casting that for 2 life. Come on, misstep this. Do it. Crack your fetch. Do it. If he cracks his fetch, I might let the Brainstorm resolve. Maybe just pay 2 life. Then I get to mana drain it. In my next main phase, I could cast a Glenalendra with counter backup. That would be pretty sexy. Been playing a lot of XCOM lately, and it says stuff like, you have a 97% chance to hit this alien that's right in front of you, and you take it and you just miss. Feels like it happens every time. Like, that's how I feel like Delver works. Only whatever position I'm in, I'm losing. But I guess everybody probably feels that way. XCOM, enemy unknown. Will this be the end of Frosty Go in this tournament? I think so. I think even if I pull this one out, I don't think I'm winning the next one. Oh, another Brainstorm? No. I don't think so. I'm not scared of your Snapcasters. I want that mana. Hope I don't draw a Frost Titan. That would be pretty shitty. Come on. Don't flip. Yes! Flipping coins! So this thing is still a looming threat. I gotta be honest, I don't think Delver is that excellent. It clearly beat me last game, but he also drew 3 of them. And I came close to coming back when I clearly should not have, off of a 0 cast artifact. What I think happens here is a Vendilion click, and he looks at my hand and he doesn't worry about anything for the rest of the game. But if I were he, I would wait until my draw step to do it. My hand has been sufficiently crappy that I don't think he needs to make sure he resolves it. Like, I would honestly rather him play a main phase Vendilion click right now. Let's see if it happens here. He's clearly waiting during my upkeep, so will this Trinket Mage get to hit play? I friggin' wish it would. No! Oh, that's so devastating. Come on, take it. Let me draw another card. What do I do with it? Would I get top or would I get Engineered Explosives? I could do it for 1 or 2. Probably wouldn't be able to kill that Ven click. I still gotta figure out a way to deal with this Vendilion click now. Like, I guess what I'm hoping for is that maybe for some reason he chooses the Spell Snare and then I just draw into a Glenalendra Archmage. So he wrote them all down. Did he make his decision? Like, if he has a Force of Will in his hand, I would probably let me just not draw a card. At this point, though, the question is, do I actually want to crack a Flooded Strand? I don't know. I don't think so. Oh, he let me keep it. That's disappointing. Is there any counterspell he could play that would matter if I kept mana up? No. Let's play this little buddy. Come on, buddy. He hasn't played any mental missteps yet. The implication of that is that... What does it mean? no mental missteps means he could have one in his hand, which means I might not want to play an Engineered Explosives for 1. I might want to play it for 0 and just let it sit there. I mean, that's not very good. I mean, having the threat of killing a Delver is pretty strong. I have to actually think about this, because top, if I can resolve it, gives me a serious amount of card advantage, but in truth, I think he has a mental misstep, because he has 4 in his deck, and for sure he kept them in. Like, essentially what it does is it allows me, like, I could take Engineering Explosives and try to play it for 1, but then it gets mental misstep too. Like, I mean, I guess he might not have the misstep. He's got 4 of them in his deck. Like, maybe I just have to play according to the risk of, like, hoping I get a pith. You know what? I think I have to Engineered Explosives for 0 here. And so we send this little boy off to the races. Counter this with your misstep, buddy. Yeah, you can't. Alright. So we've essentially killed a Delver, kind of. And it kind of forces us to play around with our mana in silly ways, and he's still going to be cracking in for 3 every turn. I take it here he will not flip the Delver, unless he really needs to resolve a 2-drop, which he might if he wants to Snapcast a Brainstorm. Or maybe he kept Steel Sabotage in, which I'm not sure I would, but he didn't have much to go for. Like Ratchet Bombs? Maybe lands, even. Resolved. I have a feeling this will be a reasonably uneventful turn unless he plays a Sower. Then it'll be a really sad turn. Because right now, I am just dead to Sower. Oh, Jace, that's pretty awful. Okay, so the Brainstorms are going to start, and then everything is going to go downhill. Things will get bad very fast. If he bounces, I get to find a Pithing Needle, which would be cool. Bummer. Guess I should have played my Flooded Strand, and oh, it's another land. That's devastating. Yep. Sad. I definitely attack this Jace, I think, to try and bring it down as low as possible. It only adds 1 damage to my current horrible situation. Because he can't flip his Delver. Kind of wish there'd been something good on top of my library, and then another good thing would have been on top of my library, not a land. For sure, I would be at 10 right now and be going to 4 right now if I'd found a Pithing Needle for Jace. This turn is a clear Brainstorm, I think. For him. Yeah. So what would be good for us right now? A Snapcaster? Probably. The Spell Snare is sitting by doing nothing because of this. I mean, maybe he boarded out mana drains on the draw. I don't know. Okay, so his hand now is all good cards and the top of his deck is unknown. That is what we know. That's funny, but At this point, it sucks. Okay. So, attacking Jace seems like the clear answer. Could have another one, right? For sure he has a counterspell in his hand at this point, and so I feel like Frost Titan just dies. But I'm not sure when I would cast it then. The reason I say that is, I mean, he can just, first of all, bounce it. It would tap down Vendilion Click for a turn, but I think it gets countered here. He can even hard cast a Force of Will. So, like, I have to hope that he brainstormed into, like, just useless crap. What probably is pretty likely is that it gets mana drained, but not doing something for another turn. Is that even tolerable? If I don't do anything for another turn, I crack my Flooded Strand and go to 8. He attacks for 4 or maybe 6, putting me at 2. And then all of a sudden either of those guys is lethal. I can crack the Engineered Explosives. Essentially what I'm trying to say is, if I don't do anything, like if he has Mana Drain, then I guess I feel silly because I didn't counter it with Spell Snare. But how important is resolving it next turn when he can bounce it? Yeah. Also, his Delver could. I don't think though he's trying to flip Delver now because he knows I have the explosives. So maybe he didn't brainstorm accordingly. Because he would want to keep all the counter spells in his hand. Also, he just used a fetch, so we don't know if he has a. He doesn't know what he has on the top of his library. In other words, maybe I go for the Frost Titan now and hope he doesn't have a counter spell, even though he's played none of them. He's played no counter spells. I mean, half of them can't even counter Frost Titan. The other thing that could happen is that he plays a Sower and just kills me. But there's nothing I can do about that no matter what. Really. And he knows I have an Underground Sea in my hand. So do I wait another turn? He brainstorms again, draws a million cards. I don't think I can afford to do that. I think I have to afford to assume that his last brainstorm just sucked. And I think that's highly unlikely, and I think he probably has a Sower in his hand. But this is our game plan. Things have gotten this dire. And so when this gets countered, it's probably bad for me. Or alternatively, when this doesn't get countered, but yeah, here it comes. Snapcaster. Was he going to brainstorm into a Force of Will? It's kind of weird, actually. I mean, he knows what... No, he doesn't know what's on the top of his deck, but he's definitely going to set up a Delver flip here. Okay. At least if he's setting up a Delver flip, that means he can't keep 2 instants. I mean, he has to have a bunch of instants then, because he needs to put an instant or sorcery back on top of his deck, which means maybe he can't counter the Frost Titan with it. But I tell you what, I think that would be okay, given that I'm at 8 life right now. The fact that he has a Snapcaster means that playing the Frost Titan was right, because not playing it would have meant that I would have been able to counter his Snapcaster. Yeah, this tells me that a Sower is coming down. That's what this tells me. But when I think about it, I'm not sure I can... I think I have to assume that he has no Sower, because if he has the Sower, I might lose no matter what. So, like, if he doesn't... if he has a Sower, I should tap down the Ancient Tomb, because that means he can't steal Frost Titan. It would mean he could bounce Frost Titan. And then I take a hit... Why did I attack with this guy? That was stupid. I take 1,000,000 damage in the air. Yeah, attacking with this guy was awful. Because of the possibility of Snapcaster. So, like, I think I just tap this down, and I hope he doesn't have Sower, but it doesn't matter anyway. And he's definitely going to flip this now, which is terrible. So let's see. I probably would have just countered this anyway and tried to win that way, unless he wants to keep the counterspell for something he can't answer, which might be right. Like, and if he bounces this, he loses his Jace. So, this is going to flip for sure. And, yeah, he's got an annul, which sucks, actually. I'm unclear why this is boarded in, but that it kind of makes sense. Sending me to 3 puts me in a real bind right now, so like maybe bouncing is just right. Well, depends on what else is in his hand. I don't think I really have a chance at this game at this point, especially if he has a sower. Like, that has to be the right play. He knows I've got an Underground Sea in my hand, so I can't force a will anything. So this has to be a sower. Or maybe he's paying for... Okay, never mind. He's just killing it. Or he's just bouncing. He's letting his Jace die. I mean, maybe he's going to follow it up with another Jace. Because he knows I can't play this and Engineered Explosives in the same turn. Which would be right. So, like, attacking with this Trinket Mage may have just been the death of me. And I should have just been going for the long game. Again, already come back from something like this. Especially if this is another Jace. Because this turn, I somehow need to play a Frost Titan to tap down Vendilion Click and also blow up Engineered Explosives. Like, okay, yeah. So there's another Jace. Which is horrible. I actually think the best thing he could do is either Fate Seal me to make sure I don't draw anything good, or bounce Trinket Mage. Because if I have a Vendilion Click on top of my library, I think that's the only way I can come back. So I think maybe Fate Sealing me, yeah. So he's going to go ahead and do that. Oh, he left it on top? That just means I lose, right? Is there anything I'm not noticing here? No. He knows what's in my hand. He knows I have a Spell Snare. I mean, I could try to... No, he can just bounce something too. Well, this is the end of Classic League, folks. Thank you for... it was an absolute pleasure to be playing this tournament again. We ended at the same time we did in the first qualifier. And so this was a good time. Good times were had by all. Can't explode those explosives in 1 mana short, unfortunately. Not sure what kind of situation would allow me to succeed here. So I'm going to go ahead and concede and be a gentleman. And I've had a blast. So good luck to TommyTopDecker in the finals. Partially true. First game I lucked into 4 Delvers. Also true. I top-decked a Trinket Mage. I'm recording and even said, please get me an Engineered Explosives. And then drew the Mage. So I deserved to lose almost certainly. I guess the logic isn't I deserve to lose because I was hoping to draw that spell, but rather probably because I don't know, this keep was a little messy. Like, I think countering his Brainstorms was right because of the Delver situation, and getting that flipped really early was going to be extremely problematic. Maybe I should have just planned on killing it with a Trinket Mage related card. But yeah, good time. I will see you folks later.